Things to learn from this tutorial. The first thing that we are going to learn is, of course and obvious, is concept of functions. Now the second thing that we are going to learn is about local variables and global variables. Both of them are equally important in case of JavaScript, and if we do not possess with sufficient knowledge on these things, we can't proceed further. So this is the thing that we are going to emphasize in this tutorial. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome to another new episode of Learning Simplified. In today's tutorial, we are going to understand the concept of functions and the concept of local and global variables. Now, what are these functions? Functions are practically execution of some instructions written priorly into your script. We can write safely that a function is consisting of this function name here. It will be requiring a function name, and then here are the instructions or statements or whatever they are. Those should be written over here, those should be appearing over here, and then either in the head part, that means in this head part of your web page, or in the body part, wherever you wish to have them, call them in and execute this certain kind of instructions. Those are to be carried out here. Now let's understand this with a proper example. So all we have to do, first of all, we are deleting it, and now let's introduce our example here. This is the block of this function where we are practically defining the nature of this function, the instructions to be carried out, where we have declared a variable x. This variable x should be printed into your HTML web page. Now into this body part, we are just calling this function name here. Care to notice that we are practically writing it inside a script part. Now if we press Ctrl S and get back to our project, we can see we have called this same function name here into the body part of your HTML page inside a script tag, and that is why it is now executing that particular storage variable. Here it is. If you change it to 6, you can see that it is now changing to 6. Now let's try with another example. Deleting this off, and here we have assigned a variable for say 6 or for say 5 against this variable x. Now I'm checking some conditions here. If remember the if else block statement that we used in our previous tutorial. So in this particular case, we have assigned that if isNaN is another function which is defined by JavaScript. isNaN is not a number, and it is practically checking whether the input here, which is in this particular case is 5, is a number or not. If this is not a number, then it will be having this kind of alert here, and if it is a number, then this thing will be skipped and it will be returning into the next segment else. We are just going back to our project and reload, and we can see that the last thing is being executed over here is a number. But if we provide here a string for say here, now if we reload, we can see that an alert pop-up box is being generated which states that no number is inserted, and that is the exact condition that we have provided over here. We first of all just checked that this variable x, it possesses a particular number, and it is being checked over here into this if statement, and into this else statement we are writing that if this thing is not happening, that means if a number is provided against this variable x, then this part will be first checked, it is all right, and it will be passing on to the next else statement, and here it will be writing as this one, it is a number or is a number. So that is exactly what we are going to learn over here, is a number. Now as we have understood this particular part, now if we just move ahead and provide something more, such as else if condition, if this input is compared to 5, that means if this input equals to 5, then it will write here, and of course this will be in a new line, so we are providing it. In this else condition, if x, that means this variable x that has been defined previously, is equivalent to 5, then this is a proper number, and with the variable number which is been defined here will be printed into your HTML document. So this is what we are expecting. Now let's provide another else if condition. What happens if we give an input value which is greater than 5, then it should be printing. Now we see that another else if condition is being generated over here. If this variable number is greater than 5, then it will be printing a line which is this number is greater than 5. And else, in this else statement we'll find, so what should be the else condition? We have checked in that whether the provided input it is equivalent to 5 or not. We have checked whether it is greater than 5 or not. Now the remaining thing is whether it is lesser than 5 or not. So this is the obvious thing that will be coming to the next. So here's the position. So first of all we are going to do, we are going to reload, and we can see that printed line has been generated. Here the input provided here is 5, so that is why it is providing the first line of these blocks, and this is a proper number along with the variable number here. What is the program flow of it? First of all, when it is coming down from the top, it is first checking that there is a declaration of variable here, and here x equivalent to 5. Now it is checking whether it is a number or a string or anything else, and if it is not a number, then it is going to alert us with this line, no number is inserted. So we now assume that this condition is being checked, and we can see that x equals to 5 has been provided, so it finds that x is a number, and that is why this part will be skipped and it will be coming down to the next part. Here it finds that x is equivalent to 5 or not. Now this condition is being checked here, so that is why it is now printing this is a proper number along with the variable. As this condition is met here, so all of these things, those are now becoming irrelevant. We do not have a need of those things, so that is why these things will be skipped on and nothing will be produced here. But in case if we now provide here 7, now pressing Ctrl S and getting back to our project, and we can see that this number is greater than 5. That means in the first situation it is now checking for, as usual, the whether this provided input is a text, is a string, or is a number or not. Now in this particular case it is a number, so this part it becomes irrelevant. Here comes the next part where it is now comparing with this value 5. If it is found, if this condition was met, then it had to print this line over here, but now this condition is not checked, so after that it will come below into the next part and it will see that whether this condition is met or not. Now it finds that this condition is met. X here is practically greater than 5. As this condition is met now, so it is printing this particular line here, and in that particular case this program will not respond to this block of statement if we just provide x equals to 1. Let's get back to our project. This value is less than 5. Here it comes. Now we can see that this value is less than 5, That means all these conditions are getting checked here, and after that it is now finding that none of these conditions are met, so it now skips back to this else block of statement, and here it finds this value is less than 5, this particular line. So that is why it is now providing this value is less than 5. Now if we provide here for say, and if we get back and reload, we can see that no number is inserted because it is now stopped into this block. All of your program is now stuck into this particular block of statement, this if statement, and that is why it is now popping you back with this alert, which is no number is inserted. Now let's talk about, first of all, reload, and you can see that we are back in business. Now if we come back here, we can see that a variable has been declared. Here it is. And in this body segment, if we now declare the same variable, try to print our variable over here, we can see that there is no display. But for say, now we are just cutting it off from this function block and we are pasting it over here. Now if we just reload, we can see that another one is getting executed over here, which is this one. That means if we place this variable inside this function, we can see that there is no display of that particular variable. But if we place this variable outside this function, outside the block of this function, then we can see that the same thing is being executed over here. Now to make it advantageous, we are now using another line break tag, and we can see that this variable is practically being executed into your HTML page. So this is the main concept of local and global variables. A global variable is that which can be used anywhere into your page and which is practically placed outside of every kind of block of statements. And this global variable, it becomes local if instead of putting it outside the block of this function, we put it inside a block of statement. This is a local variable which is used locally for this function which is known as num, and for if this variable has to be a global one, then all you have to do, you have to just cut it off from here and paste it over here. And now if you reload again, you can see that your variable is back in business. So from this tutorial we have learned using a function, creating a user-defined function and how to use it, and then we have learned about global and local variables. So this is the part that we had to know from this tutorial. That means the concept of function, and in this particular context I would like to add that this function is without any parameters. So this is the thing that we need to know from this tutorial. In the next tutorial we are going to know a lot more about these functions with examples. So stay tuned, and if you have liked this video, then do not hesitate to hit that red subscribe button down below. Hope to see you guys in our next tutorial. Till then, bye.